Chris.
Heath.
We're back. Back for what, you might ask?
Back for episode 2.
Of Mobius Tubes. We decided on a title.
We have a name now. We're official.
On multiple platforms.
Yes, we are truly circling the globe. And now you can write to us at mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, get that email out there right off the bat. mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com is your go-to place for asking me, Heath, any of your dying questions.
Or me, Chris. And there's something extra going for writing to us. Specifically, if you write to us, we're such a small podcast in our infancy, you're nearly guaranteed to have your email read on the air.
What a good point to be made. You know, other people writing into these podcasts like, Joe Rogan doesn't take submissions, but probably the Giant Bomb podcast or Yogscast, those are our competitors now.
Yeah, they're shaking in their boots, I'm sure.
Yeah, because, all of their audience is going to just switch over knowing that their comments will be read.
Definitively.
Yes.
On this podcast.
Yes. So go do it. And while you're typing away, Chris, how was your week? What did you do that was entertainment related? Or you don't have to narrow it down to a category, but I just wanted to know.
I had a pretty busy week in terms of video games. I think I'll start with the fact that I've wrapped up God of War 2018.
Gaudy Gao is the abbreviation now that it is won Game of the Year. Congratulations on that.
Neither of us saw that one coming.
Right, but I'm just congratulating you because you saw its worth in other aspects.
Sure. And, video games, they combine all sorts of artistic disciplines into one cohesive product. You have voice acting, you have writing, you have narrative. You have a huge technical aspect. You have the performance of the game. You have its actual mechanics. You have progression systems. And God of War, in every single facet of the game, delivers a very, very top-tier product.
Still, it's going to be weird, just sifting through all of the Game of the Years over the years and sort of seeing it over Red Dead Redemption 2. Was Overwatch Game of the Year last year?
Overwatch was 2016. Last year was the sweep with Breath of the Wild.
Right. Am I wrong to think that Breath of the Wild is a more fitting Game of the Year than God of War?
I can't say for sure just yet.
I'm gonna make that stance that there's certain Game of the Years that feel more Game of the Year.
I can't say yet if God of War will be my Game of the Year, having only played it out of all the 2018 releases. It's entirely possible something else will appeal to my sensibilities more.
You got to make that decision soon because we're recording this as of the 12th of December.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get busy. I saw a fun fact on Reddit the other day. In 2010, the Game of the Year contenders were God of War 3 versus Red Dead Redemption, the first one.
That's fun. And who won?
Red Dead Redemption took it that year.
Ooh, okay, so they're tied.
Yeah, the tables have turned.
So
see you in 2026 for God of War 2 versus Red Dead Redemption 3.
Right, when Kratos is raising the kid through his adolescence and he's being an angsty teenager. He's not a teenager already, is he?
No, he's probably 12.
Okay, well, yeah, just barely. And then versus John Marston's great grandson versus because they're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the better franchise will be decided. So that's good for you to finish it. You just finished the main story,
and some of the end game stuff.
Did you find any Marvel characters in God of War?
Are you referencing the Infinity Gauntlet?
Well, I didn't know about that.
Okay, there is an amazing Easter egg in this game. So it's like a loot game. You can equip different pieces of armor and stuff. There's one armor slot called a talisman, and at one point pretty early in the game, you pick up this legendary, super rare talisman, and its description is something like So powerful, this talisman has been broken
Perfectly
up,
balanced.
broken up and scattered across the realms. No one knows what it does, and it's pretty lackluster. You hold down L1 and click X to activate its power. It just like kind of fizzles out.
Okay.
But then you upgrade this thing twice, and upon upgrading it, it now has the capacity to hold like 3 gems you can socket into it.
Okay.
And there are a total of 6 gems throughout the game that you can only get late game, representing the 6 Infinity Stones. And if you socket any combination of those 6 stones into this talisman and then try to do the ability, it just fires homing missiles all over the place.
Sure,
it's
a screen clear, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have to snap your fingers when you activate it, do you?
There is no finger snap, but the piece of equipment is like a gauntlet you wear on your wrist.
Okay. I did not know about that. I was referring to Thor. Isn't he like a end like after credits kind of thing?
I don't want to spoil anything about the game.
Well, you just mentioned fine. I mean,
I mentioned an item that exists in the game.
I mentioned a spoiler that exists in the game that I guess I'll have to cut. Fine.
Just the last couple things I'll say about God of War. It's beautiful to look at. The narrative captures both huge cinematic set piece moments and couples them right along with like very heartfelt emotional moments.
Okay.
It has pretty okay puzzles in the game. It gets a lot of use out of the amazing mechanic of something as simple as throwing your axe and being able to recall it back to you and have its return journey like trip 2 enemies on the way back. It's always satisfying.
Cool.
They get a lot of use out of that mechanic in puzzles, and they're always like short, bite-sized, just long enough to make you feel proud of yourself for figuring them out. And they add a lot of good pacing to the game.
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected my God of War to have cool puzzles. I don't know. This is your first God of War game too, so we can't really speak to the series.
I played God of War 3.
Oh, okay.
There's some light puzzles in that. I feel like the quality of the puzzles was raised for this game.
Mm-hmm.
Despite all these things, all this praise I'm leveling at the game, the combat is definitely still the star of the show. It's very strategic in a way.
It's not Batman Arkham X to punch, Y to counter.
Right. You have a diverse tool set at your disposal, and there's good enemy variety. And there's definitely approaches you want to be using against some enemies and not others, like different elemental effects against the ice enemies versus the fire ones.
Okay, yeah, you got to know what's super effective.
Right. You can lob your axe, have it lodge in a guy, it freezes him in place, temporarily taking him out of the fight. And then you can go in with your fists and like there's health and a stun meter. If you build up the stun meter enough,
you stagger them.
You basically give yourself the opportunity for a Doom glory kill. You can instantly take him down, regardless of how much health he has left.
Okay.
And the fists build up stun a lot faster than the axe does, but the axe just does more damage outright. So you're always kind of trying to weigh which weapon to use against which enemy. And then you have your son Atreus, who also plays a role in combat.
Do you get to throw him?
I never threw him.
That doesn't mean you can't.
But does not mean it can't. Is there anything else you want to know about God of War before we move on?
Just I'm good on the God of War team for delivering a game that has garnered such praise from Chris. I'm glad how they performed at the Game Awards, even though I didn't give them any awards. I don't think.
Yeah, I only gave them the one. They ended up taking 3. Best action adventure game, best game direction, and then the overall game of the year.
Yeah. Cool. I may play it, but there's a laundry list of games that I have to play before that.
I have other games I could speak about, but first, Heath, would you like to talk about anything you've played the past couple of weeks?
Well, why don't I just talk about a game that I was watching fervently because I needed to know what World of Light was like in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And the context I have is that the new feature, the Spirits mode. So I played Pokemon Go pretty actively during its first few years. Now, not so much. I think they rolled out like Generation 4's Pokemon. I stopped at Generation 3, so I can't attest to those guys. But I do like me some gacha game. And I don't know if you've ever heard that term, but
I'm not familiar. Can you fill me in?
well, a gacha game is just basically a portmanteau of like "gotta catch 'em all," the Pokemon slogan. I think I'm saying that right. That's the etymology of the word "gotcha" in gacha game. So they turned Smash, like that was actually a point of criticism when the Spirits mode was announced. They were like, "Oh, they turned Smash into a gacha game," like as if a gacha game is a bad thing. But I like the gacha aspect because it's fun to, in the case of Pokemon Go, find the really strong guys and just big number go up. Is that like there's some prehistoric need to get like the legendary spirits is what the top tier ones are.
Sure, there's something satisfying to grinding out your stats and seeing numbers get higher and higher.
And with the case of like collectible characters that you recognize, you know, that actually help you as far as like gameplay, even though you're not going to be using the spirit mechanics in online. Again, I don't have the game. I just like, ooh, I want to watch that as opposed to 1v1s. So, there's 1,200 spirits in Ultimate.
Are there?
So there's more than enough. A bunch of people you'll recognize, and then like Japanese exclusives that you're like, who? But it's fun to see the gimmicks that they came up with. Smash Ultimate is full of gimmicks with these scenarios that you have to battle the playable characters that are portraying the spirits.
Right. And it's kind of funny seeing how Nintendo interprets this obscure spirit and then does their best to represent it with their roster of 74 Smash characters, and then like tweaking them in a way to try to tailor it more to be like that spirit, whether it's increasing the character's size or changing their color.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I was going to say my favorite spirit battle that I saw from the streams was a character called Buzz from Earthbound. And the way they incorporated him is you have to fight Mr. Game & Watch, but he's tiny. Like more so than if you were just to eat the mini mushroom that makes your character smaller. They shrunk him down to like a handful of pixels, and he's already at like 300%, which is enough to immediately smash him off the screen. But he's such a small hitbox that's the joke, is can you land the one hit before the time runs out?
That sounds like an amazing challenge.
So like it was just fun to see streamers react to that, and that's all I can ask for in Smash. I don't really got it, but who's your main, I should say?
I'm pretty early. I've gone with my old reliable from my Melee days.
Dark Pit.
Obviously, Marth from Fire Emblem.
Oh.
Big fan of Marth. He seems slightly less broken in this iteration of Smash Bros.
Well, his grab is probably not hundreds of miles long.
Yeah. I'm eager to try out some characters I never played before.
Like Geralt.
Bayonetta. Cloud from Fire Emblem. No, Cloud from Final Fantasy VII.
Makes no. I'm so unfamiliar. He could have been from Fire Emblem.
There are a lot of Fire Emblem characters in this game.
Too many.
Like, say a character's name, and there's maybe a 40% chance it's Fire Emblem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not super far into World of Light.
I didn't think you were. Like, you did because you didn't mention it. I thought maybe you just started it up. Oh, we should talk about Joker.
He's. I think we should talk about him in the news.
Oh, yeah. Stick to the script, Heath. So, Smash Ultimate looks really good. There's a couple of things that are broken, apparently. Apparently, you can switch out Pokemon trainers' Pokemon because you know the final hit before you get launched off screen, it zooms in. I don't know if you did.
Yeah, it does.
But if you're able to switch to another Pokemon at that exact moment, you don't get the knockback.
Wow.
And it's that must be one of the first things they're gonna try to patch.
That can't have been intended, right?
No way. No.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. So aside from that, it seems to be like what everybody asked for. There's also some features that I've heard that you're unable to change your character in a rematch, I think. So that should be addressed. But otherwise, from a pedestrian's perspective, Ultimate looks great.
It's the full package. Everything you could ask for and more.
Mm-hmm. So more of my week to games I actually played. I'm playing HQ, the trivia game, on mobile. And
you've been a diehard HQ loyalist since it came out, right?
I am an active semi-pro player. I say semi because I don't play every game, but I have won money from playing.
What's your total at?
$6
lifetime winnings
and 32 cents is my total winnings. There have been changes made to the game recently since our last episode. They've introduced a new spin-off game called HQ Word, which is a crossword type game where it gives you a hint, like national park, and you have to fill in the blanks, and they give you one letter at the start of every game that will be automatically filled in if it is in the solution. Sometimes I think the first time I played, I got Q, and it didn't help me get the answer right, but it's good to have because it's so rare. It's like a 3-strike mechanic too. So if you guess a letter that you think is in the solution but it's not, that's strike 1. The game goes on until you get through like the 10 questions, and the prize money is not nearly as large as the prize for the base trivia game. But it's like a cool spinoff that I've been playing. It's definitely a different skill set to be able to guess words given like a few letters. The letters will gradually fill in as the time limit runs out. It's the same sort of situation where you only have like 10 seconds to fill it in. Sometimes they'll be like really elaborate solutions. Like it'll be, snack, and the answer will be soda and a bucket of popcorn. And just like all of those blanks, is enough to sort of stifle your thinking. Like that's a question that I got out on because I couldn't make sense of bucket. Like I knew it was popcorn, but bucket just didn't come to mind.
Sure.
So I'm not going to be driving HQ into bankruptcy by winning their word games. I may do so for their vanilla games because they introduced a new leveling mechanic. So as you get answers right, you level up. And currently I'm level 2. And what that means is if I get questions 1 or 2 wrong, I am not eliminated from the game, which is not the case previously. If you got a question wrong, you were out and you just spectated. But now you are allowed to get questions wrong as long as the number of the question is less than your level.
Oh.
So this kind of makes it easier for chumps who just play super often. And I'm not sure I like the introduction.
How quickly is the progression to higher levels?
Well, there's only 12 questions or 15 in some Sunday games. The level of difficulty is not drastic, but the progression, yes. So definitely it will take you longer to reach to go from level 9 to 10 than it would be 1 to 2. So you're probably going to play many games. I've yet to see the number of games or the number of, correct answers that would progress you from level to level. It's not on their main screen, but they're making UI changes, so that may be visible now. I'm not really, so my thoughts are I don't really like the introduction. They've done cooler microtransaction-y abilities. So there's like an erase option because it's a multiple choice question, and erase will allow you to get rid of one of the choices. So it's just 50-50. and you earn erases by playing with friends, like in the vicinity of them, and because they check through Bluetooth that you are playing nearby. So that's a cool way of like getting people out and playing with each other. But yeah, this leveling system, I can't really speak for it. So that's what I have to say about that. And then I also played Nidhogg, the fighting game with my brother. We played that on stream, and it was good to introduce it to him because he had yet to play it. And we haven't played a fighting game together since Mortal Kombat DC, the crossover game. At my brother's house. Seth and I, we're an FPS family, like a first-person shooter. So we don't really play any fighting games.
Sure.
And we don't have Smash, we'd be playing that all day.
Of course.
But it was good to get his hands on Nidhogg. I connected the Xbox controller to the PC just so he could have, because I wasn't going to make him play WASD.
Oh, no.
So he enjoyed that. He force-stocked me, essentially. You know how there's 4 stages? It's like Castle, Woods, Mine, and Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
He beat me every map. And I don't know if that was me just trying to monitor the stream while I was playing, but I got eliminated, which is, good to say about his game skills, but I gotta work on my parries.
Nidhogg is such a pure fighting game. The barrier to entry is super low, but it still maintains the mind games of what makes a fighting game so interesting, trying to predict what your opponent is going to do and then counter it. And this small pixelated fencing game, it manages to pull that off with very basic and limited amount of controls.
Yeah, we only started introducing dive kicks 20 minutes into playing, and then that just opened up a new avenue. So yeah, it's simple to learn, difficult to master. So I played that, and I watched a live stream of Detroit Become Human on Peach Saliva. Was streaming that. That game is we were talking about Tetris in the context of the Game Awards and being like, oh, it's a great, or I made this point, it was a great party game to just watch somebody else play. It's really cathartic if they're good. Detroit Become Human is the best party game to watch, in my opinion. With the exception of some slow character building and tutorial parts, it is so laughable just to watch somebody freak out and make the decisions that you have to make in Detroit Become Human. I was having so much fun watching the chat laugh about Paige's inability to and every time she messed up a QTE, I'm just gripping my laptop hoping that she doesn't mess it up, because then she got the perfect ending. Spoiler, for this lady's stream, but all the characters lived, which was astonishing given how just crippling her anxiety was when she messed up a button prompt and your companion gets shoved or you have to stay still and your character moves a little bit, and she was just freaking out. So I gotta say, even though Detroit didn't win any awards at the Game Awards, it is still deserving of my favorite party game to spectate. Favorite party game to play is probably still Jackbox, but Detroit comes close.
There's one interesting tangent I thought I just might mention. So Quantic Dream, creators of Detroit Become Human, they've got this style of game. It's kind of like an interactive narrative that is fun to watch along and see people make decisions. Are you familiar with Until Dawn?
Yeah.
Similar style of game. And the creators of Until Dawn, they released another game called Hidden Agenda.
Did they?
It's in the same vein, except this game, Hidden Agenda, it's actually designed to be played in a party setting.
Cool.
So people, I think you can control the game through your phone on an app. And then you get a group of people, and they collectively make decisions, and it's majority rules.
Oh, okay. Okay, it's not a whodunit. That's just what that's what I imagined it would be, but are you making Is it like you all vote on the actions of one character?
I think that's how it plays out. I haven't played it, but it was pitched as an interactive narrative that is more than just a single player game.
Okay. Yeah, you might need a really tight group of friends to play that.
I think so. And you're like, to get the best experience, you should sit down and do it in one session. And I think it's multiple hours long, so you probably need a dedicated group to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Cool.
Cool.
So that was my week. That was all the games that I played. I live stream more Civilization, but that's, just what I do. What about you?
I've covered God of War. We touched on Smash Bros. I guess I'll dive into this right now. It's a very short thing, and then I'll be done. I started playing Dishonored, Death of the Outsider this past week.
What is that?
Do you have any familiarity with the Dishonored franchise?
I played the first level of the first game.
Got it.
And I got to the rats power up.
Okay. Swarm of rats?
Yeah.
All right. Dishonored, one of my absolute favorite franchises.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Original came out in 2012. Very cool. It's almost steampunk. It's more whale punk because everything is fueled by whale oil.
Yeah.
Victorian setting, kind of grimy,
Mm-hmm.
in the city of Dunwall. A year later, 2013, it got a couple DLC packs. The Knife of Dunwall and the Brigmore Witches.
You could be making these up right now, but I believe you.
Well received all around. Then in 2016, the sequel came out, Dishonored 2. Didn't sell as well as the original, which probably explains the decision behind this fact. Instead of the sequel getting DLC, it released the standalone game, so anyone could purchase it, regardless of whether they also purchased Dishonored 2 or not. And it's called Dishonored, Death of the Outsider. And
wait, so that's a spin-off?
It's a
standalone
It's a standalone Dishonored game made with like the Dishonored 2 engine. Very much how like Fallout New Vegas is kind of a
I was going to say
they made it based on the assets and tools of Fallout 3.
Yeah.
This is the same kind of deal. They quick turnaround. They probably made this game in 12 months or so. And it's supposed to be 5 missions long. I'm only 1 mission in. What I love so much about Dishonored is I think it falls into the immersive sim kind of category of video games where they present you with a scenario and you can be very flexible in how you choose to solve the scenario.
Oh.
Whether it's stealth or action or hacking. Deus Ex is like the quintessential immersive sim game.
I know what you mean, yeah. Like the first mission in Dishonored 1, you can choose to poison the guy or just or be not stealthy and just run up and get him. Can't you like put him to sleep too?
Right. You can, yeah. You have
I feel
many...
like everyone's played that one mission or seen that one mission from Dishonored 1 and been like, oh, you can hide under the table or,
Right.
look through the keyhole. Oh, he's coming,
Dishonored's like it's an assassination game where you can play through the entire game without harming a single soul, if that's how you choose.
Yeah.
You can play through it without even being seen. That's like an achievement if you can get through the game without ever being detected.
I watched a speed run of that. That's pretty impressive.
So I absolutely love these games. I always do 2 playthroughs, once as a mass murdering lunatic, and then the second time without. I do the ghost playthrough. No one sees me. I don't hurt anyone. I just accomplish my objectives non-lethally. Death of the Outsider, after playing the first mission, I'm guessing it's a standalone game, so they have to account for the people who have bought this thing and have never played a previous Dishonored game before.
Tutorial.
The first mission was kind of short and kind of vanilla. It didn't impress me, but at this point, it's going to take some pretty crazy scenarios to impress me after playing through 2 games and their DLCs.
Yeah, you climb a bridge in one of them, right?
Yeah, to abduct Anton Selkolov.
Yeah, to get the girl too, right?
Yes, yeah, at the very end of the first one.
Yeah.
So the first mission, you don't even have access to your powers yet. You're playing as Billy Lurk, the protege of Dowd the Assassin. First time playing as her. And for a game that's 5 missions long, for one of the 5 missions to A, you don't have your powers yet, and B, be kind of a lukewarm level. And it's kind of disappointing that 20% of the game is a bit lackluster. I'm hoping when I can report back to us next week, I'll have played more missions and I can say that, yes, it makes up for it in the later half of this game.
Okay, cool. I look forward to knowing whether or not Dishonored New Vegas really pulls through in the last half of the game. Yeah.
I mean, there's still 80% of the game left, but we can move on now.
Moving on to probably the news, right?
Yeah.
Because we talked about the weeks.
Between the Game Awards happening and also one kind of news outlet, Kind of Funny Games, put on a games showcase where a bunch of indie devs kind of took this opportunity to unveil stuff. We're kind of in like a diet E3 season right now when it comes to video game news.
Okay. I didn't really catch the indie half of it.
The Game Awards was definitely the bigger, more significant event in terms of game announcements.
Yeah, like Hades was announced and stuff.
Yeah. So how do you want to approach this? Do you want to both maybe pick the 3 announcements we were most excited about and dive into those?
Yeah, we should.
I could kick us off if you want.
Sure.
Okay. If this is going to be one of your 3, you can stop me and we'll both dive into it.
I'm pretty sure it will be.
Number 3, what had me pretty pumped during the game announcements was the announcement that Crash Team Racing, nitro-fueled, a remaster of Crash Team Racing on the PlayStation 1 has been announced. It'll be coming out next year. This is the best Mario Kart game that is not Mario Kart.
That's a good way of saying it because there's nothing in it that's just like, oh, I haven't seen that before.
I'm very, very excited to revisit this game. I want to know how much of my fondness for it is nostalgia versus actual high-quality game design. Back when the collection of the first 3 platforming Crash Bandicoot games was announced, the remaster of them, the Crash Insane Trilogy, I'd go on Reddit, and the top voted comment was always, we want to see a Spyro remaster for the first 3 Spyro games developed by Insomniac.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got that. And then I'd go on Reddit, I'd visit the Spyro threads, and the top comment on that would always be, we need to see Crash Team Racing remastered, and then we'll have the holy trinity of PlayStation 1 mascot games for the current generation.
This is so...
And now it's happening. I think they've reached the bottom of the well at this point. They've got them all. We don't need anything else. And I couldn't be happier.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're happy, but this is sort of how I imagine people react to soccer management games where it's like, oh, we got all the teams now and they brought back this feature and I couldn't be happier, and I'm like, oh, good for you, I guess. Like,
you couldn't care less.
I don't really get it. It's just like those franchises, they look so jank to me.
Like the originals or even the new visuals in the remaster?
I mean, there's certain charm in like Mario 64 and like Pokemon Stadium that I just don't get from like Crash Bandicoot and Banjo-Kazooie.
Those early 3D days of video games have not aged super well.
Yeah, I might just be speaking out of class, but certain games from certain eras just don't appeal to me. Like I can see why like Lara Croft on the Tomb Raider on the 64, that was probably mind blowing when it first came out, but Spyro, I recommend my impression of Spyro is like the toys on the coffee table in the waiting room of the barbershop. Like,
I can't listen to this. The first 3 Spyro games on PlayStation 1 were also like probably my favorite games at the time.
Well, I'm sorry to blaspheme right in front of you, but maybe you'll have me over to play CTR, and I'll love it.
Yeah,
I'll throw out my Mario Kart Deluxe.
Yeah.
So that's your first
number 3, yeah.
favorite announcement.
Third favorite.
My third favorite, Chris, is the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition. Partly because it's an expansion pack to a game that I've played, and none of the other games that were announced during the Game Awards had that. But I liked that they were going to add new endings rather than just port it to consoles. I'm hoping, I think I mentioned this during the Game Awards, that I hope they add like new mechanics and such. The best part of the Stanley Parable, aside from just overall, was when they took the controls away from you for a second and had like a workplace presentation on how to like greet your fellow employee, I think, or how to be like compliant, because the way you get to that ending is by not listening to the narrator. And I loved the absurdity of like, now I have to watch like a keynote presentation if I was in an American office. So I gotta give it to Ultra Deluxe. I'm really looking forward. They how they like sold it as like a cash grab,
right?
That's what the narrator was doing.
Playing up the fact.
They're self-aware, but I think they're gonna address it with a level of care that I'm gonna be really satisfied with. That's my third pick.
I agree that for a game that so blatantly breaks the fourth wall, you have to imagine these new endings they're going to add in have to really go for it to impress people, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I hope they poop on The Last of Us.
Or maybe one ending is now you're placed in a battle royale game.
Oh, that I should have said that. That would have been. That'd be really funny if you have to. The narrator's like, "Where are we dropping in, Stanley?"
And you actually get connected with other players or something.
That would be absurd. I don't, on a technical level, I don't know how they'd do that, but then they'd win Game of the Year.
It's like Battle Royale Office Edition. You're just in a office space. There's cubes everywhere. You can't really interact with anything.
Yeah,
but you're just in the room.
That I can see that.
The winner is the person who doesn't get bored, who gets bored last.
Okay, yeah. And the force field is like pink slip or something.
Okay, my number 2, I suspect, is on your list as well. It's got to be the announcement that Joker from Persona 5 is the first DLC character in Smash Bros. Ultimate.
You didn't see it coming. I didn't.
Neither did I. And on the back of this was kind of a statement that, yes, the 5 DLC characters we're adding, you're not going to see them coming. They're going to be really unexpected pulls, and each of them is going to be a must-have. I mean, they're trying to sell copies of the Season Pass, but I believe them when they say these are going to be exciting characters.
Solaire from Dark Souls. That's my pick.
Yeah, because Dark Souls Remaster is on the Switch.
Yeah.
So that makes more sense than Joker. Persona 5 is not on the Switch.
No, but what's the game that puts him in there? I don't remember. Okay, well,
are you
one of the Atlas games is on there, right? Who makes Persona?
Atlas does make Persona.
I know my game developers.
And Atlas is owned by Sega, so there's the precedent of Bayonetta is on Smash Bros. She's a Sega character, and Sonic is in Smash Bros. He's a Sega character.
Yeah.
So there's a relationship there, and I guess technically there is one connection tying Joker into the Nintendo platforms. On the 3DS, there's a Persona spin-off game called like Persona Q, and it's like in the style of Etrian Odyssey, so your first-person dungeon crawling, like making left and right hand 90-degree turns, like going through a maze. And there recently was one with Joker in it, so he's technically on a Nintendo platform, but not the Switch.
Yes, the Joker pick is actually my number 1, so I'll jump to my number 2, which is the game by the producers of Journey and Hello Games, right? No, they made No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Journey
I'm
is
about.
that game company.
Oh, it is.
Their name is that game
Oh,
company.
that's so. That makes it harder. But what's it called? Into the Ruin or something.
It has a guy on a
He's
raft.
in a boat. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember the name.
I don't remember it either.
Wow, this is pretty hype for your number 2.
Well, you know me. Like I always enjoy a good casual experience. That's all I have to say about that.
It looks beautiful, very artistic.
It does, and I trust Hello Games more so. They've kind of retconned their bad No Man's Sky release.
Right, and they definitely made it clear that this is they called it like a Hello Games short. So they're setting the expectations very, very low compared to what happened with No Man's Sky.
Could not be flying further from the sun.
I'm sure the game will be short, sweet, and won't overstay its welcome.
Hopefully, yeah. So that was my number 2 pick.
Okay. My number 1 wasn't my number 1 until I went down a rabbit hole. And it became my number 1 because of the industry revolutionizing implications that are involved with this story. So my story started out with the announcement of a game called Hades from Supergiant Games.
The makers of Bastion.
Bastion, Transistor, Pyre.
Yeah.
And looks very much like maybe kind of hearkening back to the more simple hack and slash gameplay of Bastion. They are advertising it as like a roguelike game, so it's repeatable. You're going to play it a bunch, die, start over.
Yeah, you come out of a Lazarus pit when you die.
Very appropriate with the theme then.
Yeah.
They also market it as a living game.
Because it's early access?
It's in early access right now, which is not typical for the games they're known for, like short, single-player, one-and-done experiences. That doesn't usually need like an early access beta period. But this one does. And here's where the story gets interesting. It is available in early access exclusively on the Epic Games Store, which is a store we saw advertised many times during the Game Awards.
We were both surprised by how much they were pushing the Epic Games Store, I think.
And at the time, I hadn't heard of it, and that's because it launched that same day. The Epic Games Store didn't exist until December 6th, I think, or early December at least. And it's on PC. They're looking to rival Steam. And then I dove into some news stories about what's going on here exactly. There's some pretty shocking things. So
it's about the cut that developers get versus Steam, right?
Exactly. On Steam and other typical distribution platforms, the platform holder, aka Steam, the distributor, they get 30%, and then the person selling the game gets 70% of the revenue.
That's not bad.
And now, on the Epic Games Store, they fired some shots over at the way people traditionally do it. They said the cut Steam and other places take is 300 to 400% higher than it needs to be.
Wow. Why?
Because I guess just hosting these games for download is a pretty cheap, painless service to provide.
Okay.
And 30%, they say that's way too high. So the Epic Games Store is only going to take a cut of 12%. 88% will be going to the publisher/developer.
Yeah.
So that's a lot more money to be made if you sell your games on the Epic Games Store rather than Steam. And I'm almost wondering if people are how much of an impact this is going to have. Will people outright abandon Steam and say you now get your game on the Epic Games Store because our profits are going to be so much higher?
It's a win-win for the people who make the games and the people who play the games.
Yeah, right. For the moment, Hades is exclusive on the Epic Games Store. You know what? I actually installed it just to see what it looks like on my computer. And then I was scrolling through the releases that are coming. And a game we already talked about on this podcast or mentioned it, Journey, the PS4, PS3 exclusive game, came out in 2012. You're this red
walking through the sand.
Guy, walk through the sand. Only been on PlayStation platforms for the past 6 years. It's coming to PC now, only on the Epic Games Store.
Okay.
They locked down that exclusive. They're also giving away a free game every 2 weeks. The first one is Subnautica. It came out this year. It's kind of like an underwater crafting game.
Okay.
But then the one after that, you'll know this one, Super Meat Boy. They'll give that away for free.
Hey, okay.
They're trying to get good press with locking down pretty like high-profile indie exclusive games and giving away free games and giving bigger cuts to developers. Is this gonna will Steam have to react to this?
I mean, I always thought of Valve as the good guys just because of the games they produced and how we have the best like two-factor authentication of our, you'll never. My mom deleted Steam off of her computer when we had Terraria. That was our first Steam game. Thinking that Steam would like it put a virus on our computer, or something like that. I don't want to. Yeah, I always thought of Valve as like the good guys, and even though I didn't play like CS:GO or Team Fortress, they were kind of the cool, or even I didn't play Half-Life. Yeah, they were the kind of cool guys that even though they're making bank off of Steam because no one else is doing it until now. That I thought that wasn't a problem, but competition is good. I'm hoping Epic Games doesn't go under.
They actually they were very candid when they said this. They said, we're opening this store because of all that sweet Fortnite money coming in. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to afford to do this.
Are you serious?
They're kind of like passing the buck forward. They're just saying, we're so flush with cash right now. We're gonna take the lower cut.
Oh, you forgot to mention Epic Games are the producers of Fortnite.
Yes, they are. Epic Games,
I'm stupid.
Producers of Fortnite, and also producers of the Epic Games Store.
Thank you. Can you believe I didn't make that connection?
Now all the kids these days are going to associate Epic Games with Fortnite instead of like, I always picture Gears of War first.
This is news to me.
Oh yeah.
That Fortnite is not their first game?
No, they made Gears of War like the Xbox exclusive games.
Wow.
1, 2, and 3.
I had no idea.
Cliffy B was at the studio until he left and made his own thing.
I recall Cliffy B. There was a news. Didn't he retire?
It's the company went under, so I guess kind of a forced retirement.
Yeah. Okay, Epic Games. They are also the good guys then.
They also
they're even gooder than the good guys.
I guess this is probably a bigger deal than anything we mentioned. They make the Unreal Engine. Epic Games has the Unreal Engine like 3 and 4.
They're basically Disney. I didn't know this.
Oh, and I didn't mention this. Anyone publishing a game on the Epic Games Store who uses the Unreal Engine, they take 12% normally. If you use the Epic Games Engine, they'll only take 7%. You get another 5% discount.
Epic Games Engine being another word for the Unreal Engine.
The Unreal Engine. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I see no reason to prefer like Steam to the Epic Games Store.
Steam is the more mature platform. Like,
yeah,
it's been around so long. They have like achievement support, and that's probably where all your friends are. That's where all your games are.
Yeah.
You've got to like people are well entrenched in that ecosystem right now. Mm-hmm. You have to make a pretty compelling argument to get them to jump ship over to this.
I feel like they have.
Time will tell.
Yeah. I'll probably reach for that Super Meat Boy. I've never played Super Meat Boy.
Neither have I.
Yeah. Well, cool. That is a decent first pick for your most excited for industry reasons.
Do you want to dive into your number one?
Well, you already mentioned.
I mentioned it, but you didn't tell me how hyped you were for it.
Well, if anybody's seen my my viral reaction to the Smash Persona 5 crossover, it was a win-win for both of us. You got the most predictions right. My reaction video performed better than my previous upload by 1,000%. So, yeah, everybody wins. At one point, when I see Joker, I say, what's his name? Or yeah, because I don't remember his name. And then the comment was like, how insulting.
Well, he is a phantom thief. That's the name of their organization.
His name is said multiple times in the story. But thankfully, another stranger said, he can be excited for the character, even though he hasn't played Persona. Persona is not a popular game, is it?
It's pretty niche.
Yeah.
I think Persona 5 sold in the area of like 2 million globally.
Yeah, it sold fine, but like your mom's not going to recognize Arsene.
Oh no.
She'll recognize Yoshi.
Yeah, she won't recognize Jack Frost or Yeah, Arsene.
So give me a break, internet. I haven't played it, but I was super excited when I saw it, and that's why Joker was my favorite part of the Game Awards.
I'm so disappointed I went to bed before that happened.
You did. You left my house like 15 minutes before it happened, I think. So, next Game Awards,
Yeah, if they saw
just
me
show up really late and catch the. What are they gonna announce at the next Game Awards? Bloodborne 2. Yeah, you'll come over for Bloodborne 2.
Finally. Okay. At this point, I think we would normally read off a couple listener emails, but in the absence of any of those, I have a question I'd like to pose to you. And
are we
maybe
not
going to
talk about the news?
Oh, what?
I have a couple of newses.
Then, by all means, let's dive into some news.
Yes. The funniest news to roll through some of the jokes that were had last episode. I think we mentioned Fallout 76 last episode, right?
Surely we did.
So the funny thing, No Man's Sky, I wasn't really paying super close attention to the laughs that were had when the game would crash or just not live up to the developers' promises. That was kind of it was chuckle worthy, but No Man's Sky probably is even less more niche than Persona. So what Fallout 76 has done is gathered everybody around, because Fallout's so recognizable. It's like everyone gathered around to point and laugh at Todd Howard because it's so much fun. Patches upon patches, but it's still just a laugh to see Todd rays. You know what those are, right?
I don't.
Oh, so you know what God rays are in like real life? It's sunlight leaking through the clouds and just looking super angelic. It's used in TV and film.
Yeah, I do.
Because Fallout 76 is just slapped together so much, they clearly just moved around light sources to imitate God rays, but some of them will clip right through a hill or a mountain. So, it'll look like it'll have the bloom effect if you look straight at it, but if you like move to the side, you'll just see like a beam of light shooting out of a bush. And so people are calling them Todd rays instead of God rays.
It's a play on words. I like it a lot.
Yeah. And then there's other things, the canvas bag. We didn't talk. We mentioned it during the stream, but for those of you who don't know, the Fallout Collector's Edition was said to come with a canvas tote bag, with memorabilia and stuff. It's shipped out with a nylon bag. And if you don't know bag materials, nylon is probably like the cheapest like athletic string bag. Is way different from canvas. And somebody said, hey, this was supposed to be canvas. And the Bethesda representative was like, oh, it was too expensive to make. We aren't planning on doing anything about it. And the internet just exploded with like, where's my canvas bag? And apparently some influencers got their canvas bag because they're influencers. But if you're Joe Schmo buying the $200 collector's edition, here's a nylon bag. So they gave everyone who ordered the collector's edition 500 Atom points, which is their microtransaction thing. And people were laughing at how the 500 atoms is not even enough to buy the postman skin in the game who has a canvas bag.
Oh, the irony.
Yeah, it's like 680 points in the game. So it's just like joke upon joke. And then to add to it, this is fairly recent. They came out with an ultra wide vision mode, which is probably great for PC players and stuff. That's what the players have been asking for. They did some mining. Turns out the ultra wide mode, which is supposed to be aspect ratios.
Yeah, wider.
It's supposed to be like 21 by 9. They found out they can tell it's just a stretched out 16 by 9. Okay. So it's like, come on, Todd, you can't save face. And
yikes!
Just make sure, like it's so funny.
Wow.
The joke train keeps going. So that was Fallout news.
More like Fallout blues.
Yeah.
Because it's all bad news.
Yeah. Another story that's also sad on a different level. Street Fighter V will be rolling out ads in their game it started yesterday. This is not a freemium game. You know what I mean by freemium? It's like it's just free to play. This was like a $60 game.
Yeah.
That they are now going to be playing ads in game, and apparently you can turn them off, but you won't be earning as much, like progression wise, as opposed to your ad friendly players is what they called it.
I see.
So this is just really gross. They've added other forms of marketing into the game. Sponsored skins. You know, there's like a Pro Tour skin that some of the characters wear. Even though Ryu, you know, the mascot of Street Fighter, is supposed to be homeless, but he's still wearing Red Bull gi. But so he's sponsored, but he's homeless, which makes no sense. Yeah, just a kind of disappointing way for Street Fighter to incorporate.
Yeah, I hope there must be some sizable backlash against this, right? I hope the community kind of takes a stand. Otherwise, this would set kind of the precedent that companies can get away with throwing ads into a fully paid product.
And there's ways to do it that aren't so invasive. Like I'm pretty sure it's not going to be like just a box in the corner that's playing an ad. People were saying how it sort of makes sense if the characters, like certain skins, have sponsorships, because like real proper fighters have outfits with covered in sponsors.
Right.
Or even the best way to do it would be to put ads in like the stage, like on like a street corner or like a billboard. But yeah, like you said, I'd be surprised if there wasn't some like mod that could be released to like patch this out. But how would you know, they'd probably crack down on it.
Yeah.
So that's Street Fighter. And then lastly, last bit of news that I wanted to address is the Sonic movie. Have you seen the poster? I
have not seen the poster.
You've not seen the poster?
There's a pretty high-profile actor in this, is there not?
I've not heard.
Who is playing Dr. Eggman? It's someone you wouldn't expect.
I don't know.
I don't know either, but
here, pull it up on your phone because I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want to open Chrome while I got Audition running.
All right, tell me about this poster.
Okay, so there's a currently you know how there's so many Sonic fans. What's your impression of Sonic? My impression of Sonic is great music on the part of Sonic CD and Colors and Sonic Mania. T. Lopes is my favorite game music composer. So because I wasn't around for the early Sonic stuff, and my first Sonic game was Shadow the Hedgehog, and then I played Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. So I have a pretty fun impression of Sonic. He doesn't have like the weird, creepy internet, erotic
fandom.
Yeah. I haven't been tainted by that. But have you any impression of Sonic?
Yeah. My impression of Sonic is gaming's biggest mistake.
Why? Because you watched like a Super Bunny Hop video? Or? Because he's a marketing
I had some
device.
college experiences that tainted my impression of Sonic forever.
Oh, okay.
This is a family show, so I won't get into them.
No, but I know exactly what you are talking about. Okay, so I have a more pure vision of Sonic, but you can appreciate how, it's so perfect that this movie is coming out alongside the Pikachu movie, Detective Pikachu. The Pokemon in Detective Pikachu, they went for... so you're a big movie exec, all right? Hey, movie exec. We got to make a game about these video games so that the kids will go to the theaters because the theaters are dying. What do? We got all these cute characters. I know. We'll make them as realistic as possible with all of our HD fur technology and just slap it on the anime. Even though it's really we have the ability to make it like smooth and true to the medium that it was video games.
Mm-hmm.
No. We're gonna isolate every pore and make sure it's like this uncanny monster that's on the screen. Have you seen Jigglypuff in the Detective Pikachu movie?
I have.
He's like a weird hairball. He's supposed to be like a balloon. I say he. It is supposed to be like a shiny, I think even like Squirtle is probably hairy in that movie. What's the art style? Charizard looks sick. Pikachu looks fine. Although Mr. Mime, that's when I said uncanny, that's probably the first thing you thought about. What they've done with Sonic is the same thing.
Oh dear.
We're going to give him muscular calves and real people's shoes rather than like the cool shoes. There's a tweet out there with the proper the caption of the tweet goes, "Meanwhile in an alternate universe," and it has the same background as the Sonic poster, but with like an animated version of Sonic that you would see in a game. Are you looking at the real poster?
I'm looking at the real poster.
Yeah, look at those furry calves.
Yeah.
Look at that like sharp nose, as if it actually were an animal in real life, rather than like the kind of rounded nose that Sonic actually has. I can't even make any Ugandan Knuckles jokes because I'm so distracted by this weird, uncanny, furry monster man.
This poster is not doing anything for me.
Were you looking at just the dark silhouette or the bridge shot?
The dark silhouette.
Okay, because there's another poster of him on a bridge, and they got the proportions really weird. It looks like he's taking a photo from like inside of his torso, the way his legs are like near the edges of the poster. You need to see this.
Okay.
So I'm gonna keep filling for time.
For the record, the actor portraying Dr. Eggman in this upcoming Sonic film is
Danny DeVito?
Jim Carrey.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it. That's a good pick for Jim Carrey. I doubt I think Eggman will look the way I think he's gonna look. It will be fine.
Okay, I'm looking at this bridge.
Yes.
And
so look at that. Look at those hairy legs. Yeah. And do you have a good image of Sonic's shoes, like his canonical canon shoes? Because those laced up monstrosities in the poster are not. It should be just a regular looking Sonic.
When I first heard that they were making a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and it was live action, I kind of assumed it would be one of those video game movies that never actually comes out. Like how there's supposed to be this Uncharted movie in development for like a decade, and a Halo movie in a decade, and you never hear anything. I thought it was gonna go the way of one of those and become extinct. But I guess it's happening.
Yes, and unlike how everyone's, I gotta see this Detective Pikachu, now everyone's like, I gotta see this Sonic movie.
Because of the morbid curiosity.
Just to know, like, just to get, like, the day, I'm calling it now, the day the Sonic movie comes out, you're going to see dozens of video essays on YouTube, all with the same thumbnail, where he looks as like awkward and uncanny. They're gonna scrub through the movie to get that one frame where he's kind of like, his face is like mid blink, like his hands look stilted, and it's gonna be like, has animation gone too far? I'm calling it now.
I suspect there'll be many more than just one frame that'll fit that bill.
Yes, hopefully. Look for our Sonic the Hedgehog movie review day it comes out. So that is the news. And
I think I was feeling a lot better before we went over the news.
Well, we gotta give everyone the truth.
Give them the cold hard facts.
Yes. So, did you have anything to say before we wrap it up?
Did you want to do my kind of question, or should we call it?
I'm eager to hear what it is.
Okay. I'll hit you with the question, and then I'll provide context.
Okay.
So, what do you think, Heath? Are the current video game selling practices eventually going to decrease how many people purchase games on launch day? Let me dive in. Back in September, a game came out called Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
And a $60 game. There's special editions that cost more than that. And then a month later, Square Enix put the game on sale and made it 34% off. And people didn't like that. They review bombed the game on Steam to show their displeasure. They were mass thumbs downing it, saying, good game. They kind of screwed us over, people who were there on day one, discounting it so soon. In November, Battlefield 5 came out, and $60 game once again. And then 2 weeks later, so 14 days, the Black Friday sales started, and the game was now 50% off.
Wow.
Only $30 now. If you had just waited 2 weeks, you could have saved $30. Another game came out. We may have mentioned it. It's called Fallout 76. $60 game. And then not 2 weeks, but only 1 week, 7 days after it was out, Black Friday sale started, and it was discounted down to $35.
Yeah.
So almost 50%. Now, these are some of the more egregious examples, but video games kind of depreciate in price pretty quickly. Just having a little bit of patience, waiting a month or two if you're lucky. Definitely by the time 6 months have gone by, the games can be had for pretty steep discounts. This is a pretty common practice, but not universal. Nintendo doesn't really put their games on sale, their first-party ones anyway. They're at $60 and they're $60 forever. Since it's kind of inevitable for these games to be so steeply discounted, Steam sales are infamous for being dirt cheap games.
I Googled when is next Steam sale yesterday, so it is important.
It is. Steam sales, they happen like year-round, great discounts. You can look at even cheaper examples like Humble Bundle. You pay 99 cents and you're getting 3 to 4 games.
Yeah, I've never taken advantage of a Humble Bundle, but it feels like robbery.
Yeah, I know. I mean, at that point, the developers they're seeing pennies.
Yeah.
Fractions of a pennies because you're dividing it between multiple titles. So in this day and age, how much incentive do you see to buy games on day one at launch?
I rarely do. I think I bought Red Dead day one just because I wanted to stream it, and that was the only reason, as opposed to waiting for a sale to buy it for my own entertainment. And then if I had a Switch, I bet I would buy Smash day one for my own entertainment. But that's just because, Smash games don't really depreciate in value. You told me that.
Yeah, it's a Nintendo game. They're good about that.
Right. So that's, that kind of security in my confidence of the pricing of it, or the value of it, I can definitely appreciate from Smash. But with the case of Battlefield and Fallout and what was the other one?
Tomb Raider.
Yeah, Tomb Raider. Well, okay. I feel, these are all choices made by the developer, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and games are so, it's not like music, which, after it's done with being on the charts, it goes on to be played in like car commercials and at baseball games. Once a game is sort of defunct, or even, if there's no backwards compatibility, your game isn't going to be making DLC sales or I guess merch is sort of where you make your money after the years after release.
Right.
So they got to make their money now while it's still hot.
Yes.
As opposed to other products like movies.
They don't have as many monetization methods. A movie, it's in theaters, then you can get the Blu-ray and DVD, and then it's on streaming services. And they're making money at each one of those steps.
Yeah.
A game comes out, and that's it. It has to make its money.
Yeah. But that wasn't your question. It was like,
Yeah. Will people be fed up? Will they clue into this trend?
I mean, I think their argument is better in the context of, what do I tell Seth? So my brother asks me about information regarding games and asks, if he should get, because he's been getting the Call of Duties from on like day one to play with his friends. And he bought Fortnite and stuff. He hasn't recently come into interest with a game that one could foresee having this massive, like, week 2 price drop that would, probably that angers consumers. But yeah, I would totally tell him, nah, you're gonna want to wait until the review firestorm causes the price to drop down to like a third or 2/3 really.
Yeah.
Of the price. Globally, though, I don't think this is going to affect the purchasing tendencies of video game fans. I feel like mom and dad, if they're going to buy it day one, they're going to buy it day one. Just like to have it for like their birthday gift or something for their kid. You would think that developers would understand their consumer base more so nowadays, but
with all the statistics they can gather.
Yeah,
on people.
and then Battlefield 5 became the most disliked trailer.
Okay.
Of the franchise. Yeah, I was looking through Battlefield 1 it was like a perfect reflection of the Call of Duty I think it was Infinite Warfare was the most disliked trailer they had.
I remember that.
It was a perfect 180. So Battlefield 1 they nailed it. And then Battlefield 5 it was trash.
The people are fickle.
Yes. So it's amazing to see how off you can be when you were on a year before or however long Battlefield 1 came out. So to answer your question, and let's reiterate your question one more time.
Are the current video game selling practices going to discourage future launch day purchases? Will we see launch day sales slowly decline as people realize that having some patience will not only give you a cheaper price in a pretty short amount of time, but also buying day one, you're paying the most for presumably like the buggiest version of the game as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have time to patch it, release bug fixes, release more content for the game. So waiting down the line comes with a whole host of advantages. Will this dissuade people?
Yeah, it's like the opposite of diminished returns. It's like delayed returns.
Like delayed gratification?
Sort of, yeah. You kind of get what you paid for later, which is unique to video games that launch buggy. Do I think that it's going to change the practices and warrant some major changes? I don't think so. I think on the whole, games are going to be released to the satisfaction of their fan base and slowly decrease in price over time, give or take. And I think for, the outrage it would have to take a lot of public outcry to really draw attention to, I paid $60 and now it's $35. God forbid if like Grand Theft Auto 6 doesn't perform well day one,
mm-hmm.
and by the end of its opening month, it's down to like 40. That I could imagine that sending some shockwaves.
Right.
But it would have to be on a scale of like Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah. You don't get much bigger than Rockstar.
Yeah.
Just like for my own purchasing this year, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a game I was way, way more hyped on than, say, Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Are you kidding? Get out of here. I just punched you through the microphone.
However,
that's bonkers.
I have not purchased Red Dead Redemption 2, and I pre-ordered Smash Bros. Ultimate. With it being a Nintendo game, it's just I can pay $60 now or later. Either way, I'll have to pay the same.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason not to get it now. But with Red Dead Redemption 2, there's the assumption that if I wait, I'm going to get rewarded for it. So I didn't purchase the game I was more excited for. And that's kind of to Nintendo's credit for their stubbornness of keeping games at the $60 price point.
Yeah. You're banking on the history of non-Nintendo games depreciating in value. To their credit. Wow, I hadn't thought of that.
I don't know if I'm a very strange case here. Probably. I'm kind of strange in general. But what I'm wondering what will happen is if we will see some other publisher that's not Nintendo. Maybe, I don't know, Square Enix will come out with a statement that says our games are $60 and they will remain at $60. And that's our new policy. And obviously there will have to be some sort of negative consumer response that makes these publishers change their ways. I'm wondering if that's where we're headed.
It's weird to think of an announcement like that, the flat 60 for the life of the game, as being like a good thing, because ultimately us consumers are going to have to pay more.
Right.
But it's for the convenience of having the security of knowing that that's going to be the price 6 months from now. When
you can buy the game guilt-free.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've said how I feel about the issue.
And I covered everything I wanted to say.
Which is why now is the time where we pass it off to you, listener. Tell us what you think about the possibility of current, what do we call this? Purchasing practices?
Yeah,
the game
that's
selling?
what I was calling it.
Yeah, just what is the likelihood of the current price of games? Can you reword your question for me? Just
will
for the
we
listening
see
audience.
video game selling practices change to account for decreased launch day purchases?
Yeah, the rapid depreciating of games like Fallout 76 and Battlefield 5. Will that run rampant or not be a talking point in the future? Post your responses on MobiusTubesPodcast@gmail.com. That's MobiusTubesPodcast@gmail.com.
We will read every email.
We will.
We will.
Because we're such a intimate relationship with our audience.
Completely dedicated to you and serving your needs.
Yes. Chris, thank you for the astute question to kick off our first eponymous podcast episode.
And thank you for your thoughtful reply.
I thought I delivered a decent reply.
I wasn't being sarcastic.
Yeah. And also thank you for reminding me that Epic Games makes more than just Fortnite.
I know.
I never played God of War.
Their previous history will be lost to the records, scattered to the wind. They will be the Fortnite company.
I hope not.
From now on.
Oh, jeez. That's it for the episode. What do you plan on playing between now and next episode?
More likely than not, it'll be
Dishonored New Vegas.
More Dishonored New Vegas and Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Cool. I think our next episode will be just before the holidays, so I'll probably just be playing more like co-op games with my brother. So you'll look forward to what those end up being. We were gonna play Rocket League.
Nice.
Because I've never touched it, but
it's a lot of fun.
Yes. So
very easy to jump in.
We'll do that, and we will report back to you in a couple of weeks.
Until then.
Thanks for listening. Bye.